It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Missouri Tigers head cross-country coach, Coach Lindsey Anderson. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college track and field?
Yeah, it was, while I was in college, my undergrad, my minor was actually in physical education, teaching and coaching. So I knew eventually it would be fun to get into coaching. And at the time, I didn't really know if that was going to mean more high school level or collegiate level. But once I graduated and was able to start my professional running career, I was still training with the team at Weber State and was able to start helping coach at that level at that time. And so that's when I really started to fall in love with the coaching side at the collegiate level. So that's kind of where it started. And I knew that it was something I really enjoyed doing. So hoped that it would lead me down this path.
What was that like getting to compete at Weber State as an athlete?
I had a great experience at Weber State. I was recruited there right out of high school by Coach Blaisdell. During my time, he retired and a new coach, Coach Pilkington, took his place. And so I was lucky to work with two very, very good coaches. And, Coach Blaisdell kind of set up my career to do well my freshman and sophomore year. And then Coach Pilkington, when he took over, was able to get me to a new level for my senior year to be able to do some pretty incredible things that year. So I had a great experience at Weber State.
How's that like obviously getting to put on that track and field uniform and represent Weber State?
I loved it. It was something that when I was in high school, I never dreamed I was going to be a collegiate athlete and performing at a high level in college athletics. So putting on a uniform and representing the school that I really loved was something that I was very proud of.
How's it like getting to go to the NCAA Regionals National Championship for Weber State?
It was great. Starting out my freshman and sophomore year, that was kind of a big goal of mine, was to be able to make it to the region meet, do well there to qualify on for nationals and to compete at that high of a level. So it was a really great experience and something that I am very, very, as I get older, I feel very fortunate that I was able to have some of those experiences.
Of course, as an athlete, what was that like getting to break records and setting your own records for the school history?
Again, that was kind of something that was a byproduct of what I was hoping to accomplish, but never dreamed that it might actually happen early in my career. But after years of just that consistent training and really deciding the level of effort that I was going to put into it, whenever you focus on something for so long and it wasn't necessarily the outcome that I was focused on. It was just focusing on that hard work to get me to a point where I was feeling satisfied with my efforts. And so as those things started kind of happening, the domino effect of, hey, breaking some records and setting some really cool things, it was exciting. It was a great experience for me.
Of course, leaving college, what was that like getting to compete professionally for a club team?
Um, well, the strangest part was, now being a professional athlete with Nike and getting shipments of shoes and clothes and a stipend check. And it was stuff that was kind of surreal to me because, again, kind of going back to that freshman, sophomore year, and especially in high school, like I never dreamed I was going to be a professional runner. Like that was something that didn't even cross my mind. And when I was a senior in college, I was planning to run a marathon after I graduated, and that kind of got put on hold so that I could keep going further with the steeplechase during the track season. And so all of it kind of happened quickly, it felt like, but it really was a result of a lot of years of hard work and dedication just paying off.
Of course, what was that moment like getting to come back to your alma mater to become a coach for Weber State?
Um, I I really enjoyed that transition because I was volunteering and still knew a lot of the athletes on the team, so I had a personal connection with them that way. But then was helping to start recruiting and making phone calls to future Weber State athletes and getting them on board and excited about the process and just being able to share my story. And so just kind of understanding that whole process start to finish with a recruit was very exciting for me, and I really enjoyed helping out there.
How was that transition like from leaving Weber State to go to Cal State Bakersfield to become an assistant coach there?
Yeah, I had been helping coach at Weber for about 5 or 6 years before that. And it was ultimately a change that my husband and I had a young daughter at the time, and we decided that that was a good next step for his business and his career professionally. And so we decided to go to California, and Bakersfield was the area that we were living in. And so as soon as we moved there, I had emailed the coach at Cal State Bakersfield and say, hey, I would love to come help. I wasn't looking to get a job per se. I was just kind of wanting to volunteer again and learn as much as I could from a new program. And it was a great experience for me. It's obviously hard to leave the familiarity of Weber State and then be able to go to a new place and get more experience was fun.
Leaving obviously Bakersfield, what was that like going to the College of Southern Idaho to become a head coach?
Yeah, so that was my first head coach position, and I knew at some point that I would love to be a head coach. And this was a unique opportunity because they were bringing back their cross country and track program. So it was non-existent. They had one 20 years prior, but we're deciding to bring it back. So it was scary. I'm not gonna lie. Like I had never been a head coach before, so I was nervous about that next step. But I also knew that it was something I knew if I didn't try it, then I'd probably regret it. And so as much risk and maybe nervousness that I felt going into it, I was just as excited to see what I could do as a head coach.
Of course, what were those first memories of getting to coach the men's team along with coaching the women's team at College of Southern Idaho?
Yeah, that was something I was very excited about because I do enjoy coaching both the men and the women. And um, the first few days together, I was still pretty fit and I was starting to train for marathons and everything. So I was running with both the men's and the women's team. I'd kind of alternate running different days with them. And I think that part kind of surprised some of the men because, they've got this female head coach that's running with them and dropping some of them on some of the runs. And so it was a good way for them to get to know me and for me to get to know them and kind of build that mutual respect very quickly. So I loved it. And I feel like the early stages of that really set the tone for the relationships that we continued to build.
How's that like, obviously, as you said, competing in the club level along with becoming the head coach for that school?
It was, I mean, I don't know. I like to think that I practice what I preach. So I want my athletes to know that I know what it feels like and what they're going through. And I've been through it and I know how hard it can be and how demanding it can be, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And you have to really love what you're doing and not that you're going to love it every day. Like there's a lot of hard days. And so you really only love it when you start to see all that hard work pay off, but it takes a long time for it to pay off. So it's a game of patience and consistency. And so kind of living that with my athletes helped them kind of be okay with not feeling great all the time. You're going to be uncomfortable and you're going to be pushing yourself. And it was good to be able to share that with them.
What was that feeling like getting to come to the SEC and get to come to Missouri Tigers to coach in the SEC?
Yes, that's a great question. It kind of reminded me of the same feelings I had going to CSI. I wasn't sure if I could do it. There's some self-doubt in there that comes into play, but I knew that I don't know, I'm not going to back down from a challenge. I really want to see what I can do, and I really enjoy the process of that, and really learning more about yourself. And as scary as it might be, it's also very exciting. And so for me, having an opportunity to coach at the SEC level was, it was something that I felt like, okay, this is a great opportunity to really test and see what we can do. And I knew that Missouri would be a great place for that to happen. And so I've felt a lot of support, and I'm excited for our team and the progress that we've made so far. We've got more work to do, and I have some pretty high goals for what I would like to see happen in the next few years. So it's just about getting the right people in and getting people who are already here to continue to buy in and get excited about the future of our program too.
Of course, what has that been like? Obviously, getting to coach against some of those teams like Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and even Tennessee that have been strong programs.
Yeah, they are very good programs. And if nothing else, it just elevates the level of competition. And so I'm excited for that challenge and excited to see what we can do up against them. I know that, it takes some time to build what you want to be for consistent. So I'm really trying to be patient with myself, because I also want to be, successful and do things very well. But those programs didn't change overnight either, and it took some time for them to get to where they're at. And it's very impressive, and they have been very consistently good for a long time. So I'm hoping to build into some of the same things that they have now accomplished, and hopefully we can start competing even more with them. And we've had some great athletes that are already there, and it's now just elevating the program as a whole to get to where our team is up there too.
Have you been able to take your previous coaching positions over to Missouri and teach them how, obviously, what you learned from being a head coach previously?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like every job I've been in, every coaching position, whether it was when I was in college, just coaching a high school team for a little bit, and then, assistant volunteer coaching for the number of years that I did that, head coaching at CSI, all of it. I've learned different lessons along the way. What does and does not work as a coach and as an athlete. And I feel like I've experienced a lot of that to be able to help my team the best that I can.
Of course, in your short amount of time as a head coach for Missouri, what are some of the things that you've been able to accomplish so far?
Yeah, I feel like some of the non-tangibles, the things that everybody else doesn't quite see on paper. I feel like we've built or continuing to build a strong mindset, and really focusing on the things that we can control, and doing very well with that, and a positive perspective on the things that we are trying to work towards, and understanding ourselves even better, being aware of what the things that we want to accomplish, and focusing on ourselves and not worrying about everyone else and what everybody else is doing. So kind of bringing that side of it, and then as well as some of the results that we've seen. We were able to qualify an athlete for cross country nationals, which was very exciting. We've done very well so far in the indoor season, with a couple athletes breaking into the indoor all-time top 10 list. And so we're seeing progress, and we're seeing athletes do things that they haven't previously done. And so that's just, for me, that's part of the the long-term goals. Like, these are the small things that we're doing right now that are going to add up over time and continue to get our athletes to the level that we know they can be at.
Can you talk about a course of culture that you've built for the cross country program?
Yeah, kind of answered that a little bit in that question as well. But just that positive mindset and working with each other, not against each other. Being excited for each other's success, and just a positive atmosphere. And I've really felt that our team has grown closer in the 6 months that I've been here. From the beginning of August up till now, I feel like we've seen a continued progression of positive things. And so just having that atmosphere of I'm gonna do everything I can as an individual to make myself better, and in turn that's going to elevate my team, and I'm going to help push them to be better, and I'm going to be excited for them in the process, and I'm going to want them to be successful, because if they're successful, then I'm going to be joining them along that as well. So it's just kind of getting excited about what we're doing and why we're doing it.
What does a home cross country meet look like, hosting, like, for example, teams like Georgia and Florida versus going away to host, going to Alabama and Tennessee to compete against them?
Yeah, we've got a beautiful home cross country course at Gans Creek. So I feel like we've got an amazing opportunity to host anybody who wants to come race. And we are really trying to elevate our home meet, the Gans Creek Classic, the end of September, to really get a lot of athletes and teams seeing the course as we build up to when we host nationals in 2025. And just, it's a great opportunity to be able to race at home on a world-class course. And we're proud of that. And we're excited about having such a beautiful course to be able to do some of those things. And, we've hosted SEC championships for cross country. We're planning to continue to bid that out as often as we can, for regionals, for nationals as we get going. So it's going to be a more and more common place for championship season, I think.
How's that been, like, obviously getting to compete against some non-conference teams like UCLA?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see a lot of different teams so that we can get experience in a lot of different ways. And there's a lot of great programs out there. So outside of the SEC, it's great to compete against any of those top programs that are doing well and see how we can line up against them.
What does the recruitment process look like for prospective cross-country athletes looking to compete?
A few different things. We like to try to get in contact with those rising juniors into their senior year, try to get a few phone calls in before they hit further into their junior year, but also athletes sending in questionnaires and just helping us be more and more aware of where they're at. And so it's definitely a couple years worth process to get the athletes that we want, and to get the athletes that we believe are going to help elevate our program and fit well with the training and the team. And so it's certainly not a one and done deal. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to recruit a lot of different athletes that we would like to have come in. But for those that are interested, we always love getting the questionnaires and reaching out to athletes who have looked into our program and have looked into the school and academics and all of it. So a recruiting visit would typically be a 2-day process where we're showing athletes around, getting to know the area, showing them our cross country course, showing them all around the school, the facilities, getting them to spend time with the team, one-on-one conversations with myself. There's a lot of different things that goes into a visit, for sure.
As a head coach, what are some of the things that you look at on the road, looking at those prospective student athletes?
I mean, times excuse me, times are obviously an important factor. So we do want athletes who are running at a high level, but also we want athletes who fit the personality, the work ethic, the durability, just the desire to compete at a high level, and the desire to be excited about that process and what it takes, and athletes who are patient and wanting to see a gradual progression in their training and their results. And some people, get to college and they make big jumps right away, and others it's more of a gradual road. But no matter what it is, we want athletes to come in, do well, and enjoy what they're doing, and be a good part of our team.
As a head coach, what is it like obviously seeing those freshmen get to put on that black and gold uniform for the first time versus putting it on for the last time as a senior?
Yeah, this is a new thing for me because at least as a head coach, when I was at CSI, they were freshmen and sophomores. And so I would see them putting on their uniform for the first time, but then they'd be moving on to another school after their sophomore year and continuing their junior and senior year at another institution. So here I think it's going to be, I don't know, maybe a little bit tough as I start to experience that more and more, especially as I continue to develop relationships with these athletes, because, it's hard to say goodbye. It's hard to, when that time comes, to know that maybe that's your last time. And so that part of it, it's exciting as they're freshmen, and so exciting to start that process and get them racing, get them in uniform, and they love it and they are ready to go. And by the time they're a senior, that's when we want them running their best. We want athletes to be performing their best at their senior year. And so hoping and wanting that for all of the seniors, and when they're putting that on, wanting them to recognize and to enjoy that moment, and to be able to look back and look at everything that they were able to do over that course of 4 or 5 years, or sometimes 6 with COVID years. And but I know that it's going to be harder and harder for me as those athletes put on uniforms for the last time.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
Yeah, I would love to see our cross country team continue to elevate and to get higher and higher in the SEC until we're consistently in the top 5. I would love to see that happening. I would love to see individuals and teams qualifying for nationals, and for that to be a consistent thing. I'd love to see on the track some athletes qualifying for indoor nationals, which is an extremely difficult thing to do. We have a couple athletes who are already there and have a chance at that for sure, but to continue to have more opportunities for athletes to compete past conference, and having more and more success in the postseason.
What advice would you give those high school athletes that are looking to enter the college track and field?
I would say, just to keep putting in time and effort to really figuring out what it is that you want. And are you wanting, whether it's an athlete looking to run in college, whether it's an athlete who wants to eventually coach, or a coach currently who's wanting to continue coaching. There's a lot of different avenues for that, but just continuing to get to know that process, and get to know what it is that you love about that, and growing your skill set, and reading a lot of books, and just, educating yourself more and more, so that you are more knowledgeable about different aspects of training, different things happening in the athletic world. Because this is a sport that changes quite frequently and everything, and not only with recruiting, but, now we have this transfer portal. We've got a lot of rules that have changed because of COVID, and there's just a lot of different aspects that are needing attention and needing constant awareness. So anything that athletes and coaches can do to continue to be understanding and knowledgeable in those areas is beneficial.
What advice would you give those athletes that are looking to go play professionally and compete in track and field, whether it's for a club team like how you did with Nike, or the national team like Team USA or Canada?
Yeah, the top advice I would give is, don't stress so much about the future outcome. Take care of the present. So do all the little things that you need to do right now, that are going to build up over time to get you to a chance at that. If you don't take care of the present, then that future is never going to happen. So you have to constantly be taking care of the things right now that you should be doing, and that you have control over, in order to even have a shot at that big time goal later on.
What advice would you give future assistant coaches looking to get started and even head coaches looking to build their own program?
Yeah, kind of going back to what we talked about a little bit a few minutes ago, just, really staying educated on a lot of different areas, focusing on mindset and perspective and what you want your program to look like. And if you're confident in what you want, then it's going to be easier for the athletes to be confident in what you're trying to do.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the team app?
I'm sorry, will you say that again?
Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Missouri Tigers team?
Awesome. Perfect. Sorry. So we do have a social media like Instagram page for Missouri track and field. Personally, I also have a personal Instagram account and I'm going to try to be much better. I'm not very good at posting things and just staying updated on it. I know I need to be better. So I'm very aware that I need to post stuff. So I will continue and work harder on getting my personal account a little bit more updated, but Missouri track and field and cross country account on Instagram does a very good job. Website, follow the website. There's an app, the Missouri Tigers app, that kind of gives people an idea of what's going on and just following results and following what we're doing, and you'll be able to find us.
Thank you again, Coach Lindsey Anderson, for your interview, and best of luck in your future in the cross country program.
Yeah, thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.